The galaxy had seen many wars, but none like this. For centuries, alien races fought for power, territory, and pride, but no one ever spoke about Earth. To most of the galaxy, humans were forgotten, a primitive species lost among the stars. They were small, emotional, and fragile. The great alien empires had moved on, ignoring that tiny blue planet. But one mercenary didn't ignore it. His name was Karath, known across systems as the Scourge of 1,000 Worlds. He was a towering alien warrior, part flesh, part machine. His armor was battle-scarred, his mask always hiding his true face. He had hunted pirates, kings, and even entire colonies for the right price. To Karath, nothing was sacred. Everything was prey. One day, a rich warlord from the Dragon Empire sent a message to Karath. There is a new human colony forming near the Outer Rim. Destroy it. Make an example. Karath didn't care who or what humans were. To him, it was just another job and another hunt. He accepted without hesitation. When his ship dropped from hyperspace near the human colony, Karath expected chaos. He expected to see weak creatures running, screaming, begging for mercy. But instead, he found silence. The colony stood still under a red sunset, smoke rising from the ground, and not a single sound in the air. He stepped out, scanning with his visor. No signs of life. No movement. But the readings showed something strange. Hundreds of heat signatures underground surrounding him. Then a voice echoed through his communicator. "You should not have come here." Karath turned sharply. The voice was calm, steady, a human voice. But he couldn't see anyone. His sensors flickered. His system started to glitch. The humans had jammed his scanners. He tried to speak, but before he could, a flash of light hit his shoulder armor. The blast didn't come from plasma or energy. It came from a simple metal bullet. Yet it pierced through his armor like fire. Karath roared, scanning the rooftops. He saw no one. The humans were invisible. Then came another shot, this time to his leg. He fell to one knee. His system screamed warnings. He had faced entire alien armies, but this was something different. Whoever was out there wasn't fighting for survival. They were hunting him. Moments later, smoke covered the battlefield. Karath's vision blurred as dark figures appeared in the mist. Small, fast human soldiers in black armor, their helmets reflecting the faint light. They moved silently, like ghosts. "We warned them," one of them said through his radio. "Another mercenary who thinks we're weak." Karath fired his plasma cannon, melting through walls, but the humans kept moving. They fought with strategy, hit and vanish, strike and disappear again. He couldn't predict them. Every time he thought he had cornered one, another appeared behind him. Hours passed like seconds. By the time the smoke cleared, Karath's armor was cracked, his weapons overheated, and his left arm was almost gone. Then from the darkness, one human walked forward. Without armor, without a mask. Just a man in a dusty jacket holding an old rifle. His face was calm. "You were paid to hunt us," the man said quietly. "But tell me, did they ever warn you what happens when humans are hunted?" Karath stared, breathing heavily through his mask. He had seen warlords, assassins, beasts that consumed planets. But this human, this simple man, looked at him without fear. Karath charged, roaring, his claws glowing red. The man didn't move. He simply aimed and fired. The bullet hit Karath's mask, shattering the side of it. Sparks flew, and Karath crashed to the ground. When he opened his eyes, he was surrounded. Dozens of humans stood over him. They had captured the galaxy's most feared mercenary, without ships, without power armor, without mercy. "Take him alive," the human leader said. "Let the galaxy see what happens when they hunt us." As Karath was dragged away, he stared at the rising smoke, at the planet he had underestimated. He realized something terrifying. These humans were not prey. They were predators hidden behind fragile skin and soft voices. And in that moment, the most feared alien in the galaxy finally understood why even monsters fear humans. Karath woke up to darkness. The sound of metal chains echoed through the small room. His head was heavy, his body weak. For the first time in his long life, he was not in control. He tried to move, but his limbs were restrained by strong magnetic locks. His weapons were gone, his armor torn apart. The air smelled of oil, smoke, and something else. Human, he blinked, adjusting his damaged vision sensors. The room was made of steel walls, old and rough. not advanced like the alien prisons he had seen before. But everything here had a strange precision, a quiet strength. He was deep inside a human military base. Outside his cell, footsteps echoed. 2 human soldiers in simple armor stood guard. They didn't talk, didn't look at him. Kareth could sense discipline, something he hadn't seen even among elite alien units. Then, the door opened. The same human man from the battlefield entered, calm, sharp-eyed, wearing a gray uniform with no rank marks. He walked closer, holding a datapad in one hand. His voice was steady. "You fought well," the man said. "But you didn't understand what you were fighting," Kareth growled, his voice deep and broken through his damaged mask. "Those are not supposed to be this strong. Humans are weak, emotional," the man smiled faintly. "That's what everyone says, until they see what we become when someone tries to kill us." He pulled up a holographic image on his datapad. It showed Kareth's ship burning in orbit. The entire dragon fleet that had hired him was gone, destroyed. "You came to hunt us," the man continued, "but your employers forgot something. When humans are attacked, we don't run. We evolve." Kareth stared at him. His breathing grew heavier. "Who are you?" The man looked at him with cold eyes. "I'm Captain Ellis, Earth Defense Division, Outer Rim Command. And you, Kareth, are now our guest." Kareth tried to break his chains, but they didn't move. His enhanced muscles strained, his metal arms sparked. Nothing worked. The humans had learned how to hold even someone like him. "Why not kill me?" Kareth snarled. "You think you can learn from me? Torture me for secrets?" Captain Ellis looked straight into his eyes. "We don't torture, we listen. And we make sure the galaxy listens too." He turned and pressed a button on the wall. A holographic screen appeared, showing live transmissions from across multiple alien systems. News feeds, pirate channels, mercenary networks. Everywhere Kareth's image appeared, chained, defeated, and alive. "You're famous," Ellis said. "The whole galaxy is watching the great Kareth, caught by the humans he thought were prey." Kareth's chest burned with rage. "You dishonor me." Ellis leaned closer, his voice turning cold. "No, we warn others. You said humans are weak. Let the galaxy see the truth and that even monsters should fear us." He turned away and left, the metal door closing behind him with a loud hiss. Kareth sat in silence. His pride was gone, his mission destroyed. But deep inside, something else grew. Curiosity. These humans were strange. They didn't have advanced weapons like the Dragon Empire, no great ships like the Vorthan Armada. But they had something else, willpower. A kind of madness that made them impossible to predict. Days passed. The humans didn't hurt him. They gave him food, repaired parts of his armor, and kept asking questions about the galactic war zones. But he said nothing. He watched them, learned from them. Every soldier, every engineer, every guard had the same eyes, focused, determined, and unafraid. They looked at him not as a monster, but as a challenge. Then one night the alarms blared. The base shook violently. Kareth lifted his head. He could hear explosions above the surface. Voices shouted through the intercom. "Incoming dragon ships. Repeat, we are under attack." Kareth smiled under his mask. The warlord had returned. They had come to rescue him, or so he thought. Moments later, the door burst open. A soldier ran in, shouting, "We have to move him. The dragons are not rescuing. They're bombing everything." Kareth froze. "Bombing?" He growled. "Their own forces?" The human soldier nodded grimly. "They want to erase evidence that they hired you. They don't care who dies." Kareth felt something cold inside his chest. He had served them loyally for years, and now they abandoned him like trash. The human soldier unlocked his restraints. "We're evacuating. You can stay and die or help us fight back." Kareth stood up slowly, his armor clicking and sparking. He towered over the human, eyes burning red. For a long moment neither spoke. Then Kareth growled softly, "Give me a weapon." The soldier hesitated, then tossed him a plasma rifle. Kareth caught it easily. He looked at the door, and for the first time he wasn't thinking about payment or glory. He was thinking about revenge. Outside, the night sky burned with fire as alien ships descended through the clouds. The humans fought fiercely side by side without fear. Kareth stepped into the chaos in the same battlefield where he had once hunted them. But this time he fought with them. For the first time in his life, the galaxy's deadliest mercenary was not hunting prey. He was standing with the only species that had ever made him doubt what true power meant. And in that fire-lit night, Karath realized something strange. He didn't just fear humans anymore. He respected them. The ground shook like thunder as explosions tore through the human base. Alarms screamed, walls cracked, and smoke filled the corridors. Karath grabbed the plasma rifle tighter in his massive hands. The weapon felt light. Too light for someone who once carried cannons heavier than humans themselves. The human soldier beside him yelled over the noise. "This way!" The command center's still intact. Karath followed, moving through the narrow hallway built for much smaller bodies. Sparks rained from the ceiling as enemy drones sliced through the air outside. The metallic scent of burning circuits mixed with the sharp smell of blood. As they turned the corner, a blast wave hit them. Karath shielded the soldier with his arm. The fire burned across his armor, but he didn't move. When the smoke cleared, the human stared at him in disbelief. "You saved me," the soldier said. Karath didn't answer. He just grunted. "You are my only weapon crew left," he said coldly. "You die, I have no cover fire." The soldier smirked even in the chaos. "Fair trade." They pushed forward, entering a large control room filled with blue lights and shattered screens. Captain Ellis stood at the center, shouting orders. His voice cut through the noise like a blade. "All units, hold the north perimeter. Evacuation ships are inbound 10 minutes out." When he saw Karath, Ellis froze for a second, then nodded. "You made your choice then." Karath's red eyes glowed through his cracked mask. "I fight until I am dead. Or until they are." Outside the base, the sky was alive with fire. Alien gunships rained plasma bolts on human positions. The humans fought back with old cannons and railguns that roared like beasts. Their weapons were not the most advanced, but they were precise, brutal, and full of human will. Karath leaped into the open, his massive frame drawing enemy fire. Plasma blasts hit him from all sides, but he didn't stop. His rifle burned hot as he tore through drone after drone. The humans used his charge as cover, advancing behind him with deadly precision. Ellis's voice echoed through the comms. "Karath, east side flank." "We're cornered!" Karath turned sharply, roaring. He sprinted across rubble and fire faster than any human soldier could imagine. The dragon troops were advancing, tall insect-like aliens with shining armor and cold eyes. They fired blue plasma bolts, shouting in their harsh language. Karath didn't hesitate. He jumped straight into them like a storm of metal and fury. His claws tore through armor, his rifle melted through shields. The dragons screamed as their own mercenary turned against them. "You sold me for credits," Karath growled as he ripped one apart. "Now pay the price." The humans moved in behind him, finishing what he started. The air was filled with fire and chaos, but in the center of it stood an impossible sight. A human squad and a legendary alien mercenary fighting side by side. For a moment, it looked like they might win. Then, a massive shadow passed overhead, a dragon cruiser descending through the clouds. Its engines glowed like suns, shaking the ground below. Everyone stopped and looked up. "They're going to wipe the entire base," Ellis said through gritted teeth. "We won't survive that blast." Karath stared at the ship, then at the humans around him. They were exhausted, bleeding, still firing, still fighting. He remembered their eyes. Not afraid, not hopeless, but alive. He stepped toward Ellis. "Give me access to your defense grid." Ellis looked at him suspiciously. "You know their systems?" "Better than anyone," Karath said. "They built their weapons from my designs." Ellis nodded quickly. "Do it." Karath ran into the main control bunker, his fingers flying across alien and human consoles alike. Sparks danced across his arms as he forced the systems to connect. The humans watched as alien symbols flashed across the screen. "You're overriding their shields?" one engineer asked. Karath nodded. "No, I'm turning their ship against them." The cruiser above started to flicker. Its engine sputtered. Suddenly it turned, firing its own plasma cannons at the dragon ground troops. Massive explosions rocked the field. Cheers erupted through the comms. Ellis shouted, "He did it!" Karath just made them destroy themselves. Karath stood back, breathing heavily. His systems sparked, his body covered in burns. He had used too much energy, too much of himself. The last thing he saw before collapsing was the burning cruiser falling toward the horizon. When he woke up, he was in a medical tent. The humans had survived. The dragons were gone, destroyed by their own ship. Ellis sat beside him, holding a data tablet. "You saved us," Ellis said softly. "You didn't have to." Karath looked away. You fought beside me when my own kind tried to kill me. You are not like the others. Ellis smiled faintly. Neither are you. Outside, the sun was rising again, red and golden over the battlefield. Human engineers were already rebuilding, laughing, sharing food, helping each other, as if war was just another obstacle to overcome. Karath watched them silently. There was something strange about this species. They were small, fragile, emotional, yet unstoppable. They turned pain into strength, loss into power. He had fought for countless empires, but none had this kind of spirit. Captain Ellis, he said quietly, you said the galaxy watches your actions? They always do, Ellis replied. Karath stood up slowly, his massive frame casting a long shadow. Then let them see. Karath, once the hunter, now fights beside humans. The soldiers around him looked up in surprise. Ellis nodded. Welcome to Earth Defense, Mercenary. Karath's red eyes glowed once more, but this time not with anger. They glowed with purpose. The battlefield was quiet now. Smoke still rose from the ruined plains, and the air smelled of burned metal and dust. Human engineers were repairing their machines, their voices echoing across the empty sky. The war was over, but something heavy still hung in the air. A silence that felt too calm. Karath stood at the edge of the crater where the dragon cruiser had fallen. His red eyes glowed faintly as he stared at the twisted remains of alien steel. The ship's black hull was half buried in the dirt, its core still humming with weak energy. Captain Ellis approached, his uniform torn, his face tired but alert. You've been staring at that wreck for hours, Ellis said. It is not wreckage, Karath replied. It is a message, Ellis frowned. A message? Karath knelt beside the burned fragments, running his clawed fingers over strange symbols etched into the hull. Not dragon language, but something older. His voice dropped low. This was not a rescue ship. It was a test. Ellis stared at him. A test by who? Karath looked up slowly. By the High Conquered, the alliance that controls half the galaxy. They wanted to see how dangerous humans really are. The captain's eyes widened. So they sent the dragons to provoke us? Karath nodded. To watch you fight, to see if the stories were true. Ellis crossed his arms. What stories? Karath's deep voice rumbled like thunder. That humans never stop. That when you are cornered, when everything burns, you rise stronger. That is why the galaxy fears you, and why they may soon come for you. The wind blew softly through the smoke, carrying the sound of distant repairs. Ellis stood silent for a long time. If that's true, he said finally, then we need to prepare. Karath looked at him, his red eyes narrowing. Prepare for what, Captain? Ellis turned toward the horizon. For the war that's coming next. 2 days later, Karath was walking through the rebuilt base. Human soldiers nodded as he passed. Some still looked nervous, others smiled in quiet respect. He wasn't one of them. Not yet. But he had earned something rare among humans. Trust. He entered the command room where Ellis and his officers were gathered around a glowing holo map of nearby star systems. Karath's presence made the room fall silent for a moment. We detected a signal from the crash site, Ellis said. Encrypted. It's transmitting something to deep space. Karath's expression hardened. They're reporting back. The test is complete. A young communications officer raised his hand nervously. Should we jam it? Karath shook his head. It is too late. The message has already reached them. The Conquered will know that their fears were right. Humans are not prey. Ellis slammed his hand on the console. Then we hit them first. The room went quiet. Everyone turned to him in shock. Captain, one officer said carefully, you're talking about declaring war on the most powerful alliance in the galaxy. Ellis looked at Karath. What do you think? Karath hesitated. For the first time in his life, he wasn't sure. He had fought for empires, crushed rebellions, and hunted entire civilizations, but he had never seen anyone like the humans. Their courage was different. Their anger was different. You cannot win through numbers, he said slowly. But you can win through fear. The galaxy already whispers your name. Make them believe those whispers. Ellis smiled faintly. You mean turn their fear into our weapon? Karath nodded once. Exactly. Later that night, Karath stood outside the base, looking up at the stars. For the first time, they didn't look endless. They looked close, alive, and dangerous. Somewhere out there, the Conquered was watching, planning, and waiting. He thought about what Ellis had said. that they should strike first. It was madness. But then again, madness was what made humans so unstoppable. Footsteps approached. It was the same young soldier from the battle, the one Karath had saved. His arm was bandaged, but he smiled as he walked up beside the alien. "Can't sleep either?" the soldier asked. Karath's deep voice rumbled quietly. "Machines do not sleep." The soldier chuckled. "Right. Forgot you were part machine." For a while they both stared at the stars in silence. Then the soldier said, "Back home we used to think aliens were all powerful, gods or monsters. But you're just like us. You fight, you bleed, you want to survive." Karath turned his head slightly. "No, humans are not like us. You are worse. And better." The soldier raised an eyebrow. "What does that mean?" Karath looked at him with a strange sadness in his eyes. "It means that when the galaxy comes for you, you will not only fight, you will win. And that terrifies even me." The soldier fell silent. The wind carried the soft hum of the base generators, and above them, the stars flickered like cold eyes watching. Karath clenched his fists. Somewhere far beyond, he knew the message from the dragon ship had reached its destination. The galaxy would come, and this time, it wouldn't be a test. He looked up at the night sky and whispered in his low, broken voice, "If they want to hunt humans again, let them come." The stars shimmered in answer, and the quiet hum of distant engines filled the air, a sound that promised war was already on its way. 3 weeks had passed since the dragon attack. The human base, once a pile of burning metal, was now alive with movement again. Soldiers trained in the open fields, engineers built new defense towers, and the air was filled with the hum of machines and hope. But everyone knew it. This peace would not last. The message from the wrecked dragon ship had reached the High Conquered. War was coming. Karath stood on the edge of the training field watching the humans prepare. Their weapons were smaller than the ones used by alien empires. Their ships were older. Their armor looked simple. But there was something in their eyes, that same fire he had seen in battle. The fire that had made him switch sides. Captain Ellis joined him, holding a datapad filled with holographic blueprints. New defense cannons, railgun systems, underground bunkers. "We're building faster than ever before," Ellis said. "You humans learn quickly," Karath replied. "Too quickly." Ellis looked at him curiously. "You say that like it's a bad thing." Karath didn't answer immediately. His red eyes focused on the horizon where the sky met the distant mountains. "When a species learns too fast," he said quietly, "the galaxy fears it, and fear always leads to war." Ellis sighed. "Then let them fear us." For a moment they stood together in silence, two soldiers from different worlds, united by a single purpose: survival. Later that night, a storm rolled in. Thunder cracked across the dark sky and rain poured over the metal base. Karath stood in the hangar, watching the lightning flash through the clouds. Behind him, the young soldier from before, the one he had saved, and walked in, dripping wet. His name was Corporal Haynes. He carried a small device in his hand. "Captain told me to bring this to you," Haynes said. "We intercepted a signal. It's not from the Concorde." Karath turned. "Then who?" Haynes hesitated. "We don't know yet. It's coded in an ancient dialect. Ellis thought you might recognize it." Karath took the device and activated the hologram. The image flickered, showing an alien figure, tall, thin, wearing white armor. The face was hidden behind a mask with glowing blue eyes. Then a voice spoke through static, deep and calm. "To the one called Karath, this is Commander Voro of the Zynar Dominion. We know what is coming. The Conquered has moved their fleets. They will strike Earth within one cycle. If humanity falls, we all fall. Meet us in orbit above Delta 9, we offer alliance." The message ended. Haynes blinked. "An alliance? Another alien species wants to help us?" Karath's claws tightened around the device. The Zynar Dominion, he knew that name. They were scientists, not warriors, neutral for centuries. For them to break silence meant only one thing. They were desperate. Ellis entered the hangar moments later, his boots splashing through the puddles. "So it's true," he said. "The Zynar are reaching out." Karath nodded. "They must have seen what the Conquered plans to do. They fear extinction as much as you do." Ellis folded his arms. "Can we trust them?" Karath looked out at the storm again. "Trust? No, but we can use their knowledge." The next day, the human flagship Resolve rose into the sky. It was massive, covered in battle scars, its engines roaring like thunder. Inside the command deck, Ellis stood beside Karath as they prepared for hyperspace jump to Delta 9, the meeting point. "Never thought I'd go to peace talks with an alien," Haynes said, checking his weapon nervously. Karath rumbled a quiet laugh. "Neither did I." The stars stretched into long lines as the ship jumped into hyperspace. When they arrived, Delta 9 floated before them, a cold gray planet surrounded by a ring of debris. Hidden within that debris was a massive Zynar station, shining white against the void. They docked carefully. As they stepped onto the station platform, dozens of Zynar soldiers appeared, tall and pale, their movements graceful and silent. Then Commander Voro emerged, the same figure from the message. "Welcome," Voro said in a smooth voice. "We have been watching humanity for a long time." Ellis frowned. "Watching?" Voro nodded. "The Conquered fears you because they do not understand you. They believe you are chaos wrapped in flesh. They believe one day you will burn the stars themselves." Karath growled softly. "And what do you believe?" Voro's glowing eyes turned to him. "I believe the Conquered may be right." Ellis took a step forward. "Then why help us?" Voro looked around the room, his voice echoing softly. "Because chaos is better than slavery. The Conquered has ruled for too long. They silence worlds, erase species, control minds. But humans break patterns. You fight what cannot be fought. You destroy what should be untouchable, and now we need that." Ellis and Karath exchanged a long look. "So this is it," Ellis said. "The galaxy's monsters and misfits joining forces." Karath nodded slowly. "Monsters, yes. But monsters who choose to stand," Voro extended his hand. "Then we stand together." Ellis took it without hesitation. As they returned to the Resolve, Karath stared out at the stars. The alliance had been formed, humans, Zynar, and one rogue mercenary. But something deep inside him stirred uneasily. He had fought in 1,000 wars, and he knew one truth. When too many enemies unite against one force, that force is either destroyed or becomes unstoppable. The stars ahead shimmered like fire. The Concord fleets were gathering, and soon the sky itself would burn. Karath looked at Ellis. "The storm is coming, Captain." Ellis nodded grimly. "Then let's be the lightning." The stars burned red as war filled the sky. Massive ships from the High Concord tore through space, forming a wall of metal and fire. Their weapons glowed like small suns, ready to erase Earth and everything near it. It was not a battle anymore. It was an extermination. But the humans didn't run. They stood in orbit with their ragtag fleet. Hundreds of old ships patched with alien scrap and human steel. Engines roared, cannons charged, and soldiers whispered quiet prayers. Every man and woman on those ships knew the truth. This was their last stand. And at the center of it all, standing on the deck of the Resolve, was Karath, the alien mercenary who once hunted humans and now fought beside them. He watched the approaching fleet through the observation glass. Thousands of enemy vessels filled the void, dark and endless. Even his heart, hardened by centuries of war, trembled for a moment. Captain Ellis stood beside him. His voice was calm, but his eyes told another story. "They outnumber us 50-1. Karath's claws flexed over the railing. "Then we fight like 50 men each." Ellis smiled faintly. "You're starting to sound like one of us." Karath looked down at him. "Perhaps I am." The radio crackled with voices from across the fleet. "This is the Iron Wind and ready to engage. Silver Dawn reporting in. Shields up, weapons online. For Earth! For humanity!" Every human voice carried the same fierce energy, the kind that burned through fear, the kind Karath had once underestimated. Then Commander Voro's image appeared on the main screen from the Zynar flagship. His white armor gleamed in the light of distant explosions. The Concord's lead ships are forming attack lines. They will hit in waves. If they break through, Earth will fall. Ellis nodded. "Then we make sure they don't." Karath stepped forward. "I will lead the first assault. Target their command carrier. Cut off the head and the body will panic." Ellis turned sharply. "That's suicide." Karath's deep voice was steady. "Perhaps, but if humans die today, they should not die alone." The captain wanted to argue, but he saw something in Karath's eyes, something unshakable. Respect, resolve, purpose. He placed a hand on the alien's armored shoulder. "Then make them remember you. Karath nodded once, his red eyes burning bright. They will remember us. The Resolve roared forward, its engines leaving streaks of blue light across the stars. Behind it, smaller ships followed in formation, guided by Karath's voice. Stay close. Do not fear their numbers. Strike where they are blind. The Concorde fleet opened fire. Beams of plasma cut through space like lightning. Karath's ship twisted between them, returning fire with human precision and alien fury. Explosions bloomed like stars dying in slow motion. Voro's fleet joined from the flank, slicing through the enemy's outer lines with energy waves that shattered shields. For the first time, the Concorde's perfect formation began to break. Inside the Resolve, alarms screamed. Panels sparked. The hull cracked under pressure. Karath gripped the console as Ellis shouted over the noise. Main engines are hit. We're losing thrust. Divert power from life support. Karath growled. That'll kill us. We're already dead if we stop now. The ship lurched forward again, smoke filling the bridge. Karath's body sparked with blue light, his mechanical systems overheating. But he didn't care. He locked the targeting grid on the enemy command carrier and roared, "All weapons, fire!" Dozens of plasma rounds and railgun slugs tore through the void, slamming into the conquered flagship. The explosion was so bright it blinded sensors. Cheers erupted across the fleet. The enemy line collapsed. But victory came at a price. Karath's ship was burning, spiraling toward Earth's atmosphere. Ellis turned to him, coughing through the smoke. We need to eject. Karath shook his head slowly. No, there is one message left to send. He limped to the communication console, sparks falling from his damaged armor. The transmission line flickered alive, broadcasting across every frequency in the galaxy. His deep voice echoed through the stars. To all who hear this, I am Karath of the Mercenary clans, hunter, killer, servant of empires. I have fought every species that calls itself powerful. He paused, smoke curling around him as the ship broke apart. But today, I fought beside humans, and they bleed. They break. They die. But they never stop. His voice grew louder, filled with both pride and warning. You think they are fragile. You think they are weak. You are wrong. They will fight you with fire, with fists, with stones. With their last breath, they are the storm that never ends. Outside, the Resolve burned like a falling star, its flames painting the sky over Earth. So hear my words, Galaxy. If you value your life, your people, your peace, never hunt humans. The transmission cut off. Moments later, the Resolve vanished in a silent explosion of light. Weeks later, the war ended. The conquered retreated, broken and humiliated. Word spread across the galaxy, not of Earth's victory, but of Karath's final warning. Every mercenary, every warlord, every empire whispered the same phrase whenever the word human was spoken. Even monsters fear humans. On Earth, a statue stood at the rebuilt defense base, a towering figure in cracked armor, one clawed hand raised toward the stars. Beneath it, the inscription read, Karath, the alien who chose humanity. Never hunt humans. Captain Ellis stood before it every year on the day of the battle. Sometimes he smiled. Sometimes he cried. And somewhere among the stars, the legend of the fearsome alien mercenary who fought for humans lived on, not as a monster, but as a guardian.